we don't want to be an investor. Like if you're an investor, you think maybe set it and forget it like the stocks. What we need to do is instead become a business owner. We own real estate. That's our inventory. So we go into business to make money just like every entrepreneur does.
Welcome back, passionate investors. I'm your host, George Roberts, the author of Passionate Living Through Passive Investing. And today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Dustin Heiner, founder of the powerhouse brand Master Passive Income. Today, we will talk about several themes that complement the passionate living lifestyle, starting with the fact that he retired at 37 and hasn't looked back, enjoying a life of adventure, travel, and connection with the most important people in his life. He's the author of several books, including, not surprisingly, Successfully Unemployed. And now it's time to introduce our exciting guest. Welcome to the show, Dustin.
What's up? Thank you so much for having me on the show, George. Yeah, I personally love that I have freedom in my life because I don't have to work at job. As a job is a job because you're living just over broke. And I quit my job because I invest in real estate. I have cash flow coming in. Started in 2006, just bought property after property. Now I just hang out with my family, go to the gym, and come on podcasts and talk to great people like you. So thank you so much for having me on the show.
It's a great pleasure because you're exactly the sort of person I want to interview because, yes, you do have that passionate lifestyle and you do know all about passive income. Probably since we mentioned it, why don't we just jump right into the successfully unemployed? So, talk about brand building. So I did mention a couple of your brands here. So how do you build a successful brand?
To build a brand like Successfully Unemployed, Master Passive Income is my first brand that I started out with. That's where we coach, and Successfully Unemployed, we coach real estate investing, but Successfully Unemployed is also a part of that. It's kind of like a tagline, or it's like something that people aspire to. And I realized that whenever I had something that other people wanted to learn about. Give you an example. So in 2006, I started investing in real estate. Just bought property after property, each one making me four, five, $600 a month. Eventually, I had 30 properties, and I quit my job in 2016. And then, as I was quitting my job, people started asking me, "Well, Dustin, how are you not working a job?" And I said, "Well, I'm successfully unemployed and I invest in real estate." And the second question always came, "Can you show me?" I'm like, "Oh, sure. Let me go ahead and do that." So I started showing people. Then at the
Right.
same time, if you realize people wanted, I knew that people, they didn't necessarily want the real estate. They wanted the outcome of what real estate brought, which is freedom and freedom from a job. And that's when I brought on the tagline of successfully unemployed. So we have basically those two things, but people just wanted to know what I knew or what I was doing in my life. And then I realized, oh my goodness, if I just keep getting asked that same question by lots and lots of people, maybe I'm onto something here. Let me start moving forward and putting it out there. But one quick last thing is, in order to build a brand, you can't give up, because after a year, 2 years, like it's pretty lonely road building a brand. You'll get a few traction here and there, but I've been
Yeah.
doing this since 2015. And at the first couple of years, it's kind of lonely. You get a little bit of traction here and there, but it's the long game that you have to play. And so when you're building the brand, you have to be so dedicated to your the direction you're going. And then honestly, just like Forrest Gump, if you ever seen the movie, a
Yeah.
great movie, but he goes and runs for like years and years. Like he'll just keep running. And then eventually, after people stopped making fun of him and started like, what's going on, this weird guy, they started following him. They started just coming right, and they say, this guy has all the answers. I'm going to follow him and run. Exact same thing. If you just keep and being so steadfast in your mission, what you feel you're called to, eventually you'll get enough people following behind you that you're going to have a big brand.
All right. So building a brand is as building a brand does, I suppose.
It sure does.
Right. I love it. Yeah. And one of my favorite quotes, and I want to get into this too, because, one of the things people ask me about is how to write a book. And, that's something you've done. Yeah. My favorite quote from Marcus Aurelius is, if thou wouldst be a writer, write. So, yeah, you just have to get out there. You have to do it. Don't make the excuses. Just make it happen. I don't know what else to say. But yeah, another thing you've got, your YouTube is about to hit 10,000 subscribers. So again, that's something I know that doesn't happen overnight. So how much passive income did you have at the point where you declared yourself successfully unemployed?
I was making over $10,000 a month, probably
Yeah.
12, 13, $14,000 a month, something like that at the time in 2016 when I quit my job. And so I can't, or actually my wife won't tell you, or won't let me tell you the specific number that I make now or that I was making then, but I'm kind of giving you a ballpark, but you can do the math. And so here's the math. Very, very simple. When I started investing back in 2006, I was making sure that I would cash flow every single month after all expenses from vacancy to repairs to property management fee. So I wanted to cash flow $500 every single month from every property that I bought. So $500 as $6,000 a year. That's per month. $500 a month is $6,000 a year. And then I started scaling, just started buying property after property. 10 properties at $500 a month is $5,000 a
Yeah.
month. That's $60,000 a year. 20 properties is $10,000 a month. $120,000 a year. And that was the minimum. Now I have properties making me $1,000, $1,500. Well, I have
Right.
one property making me $3,600 a month. And so you just keep growing because over time, real estate makes you more money over time. And I don't even worry about inflation because my rents go up with inflation. So, but now
Yeah.
I'll give you, so if you just kind of think of the math, I just told you a little bit about what we have. Now we have, I think 30 plus 33, 35 properties or something like that are single family homes that make us a lot of money. But then I also have two large apartment complexes, total of 800 units out of all of them. And so we have a big portfolio of a lot of real estate
Yeah.
and it just makes us money every single month. And the great last quick thing I'll share is
Yeah,
just
sure.
over time, real estate goes up in value, rents go up, all these great things about real estate that make us to be successfully unemployed and become a passionate liver. Is that liver?
Love it.
Living,
Thanks for the
living person?
tie-in. And that's so true because if you do buy right, if you do have the reserves, and this is really my mantra, buy right, have the reserves, and then it really doesn't matter. I mean, we have seen rents roll back. I think for the last few months, we've been dealing with that. That's not talking nationwide. That doesn't mean that's going on in your properties or my properties, but it is the reality sometimes. But if you prepare for it properly, you will ride through these things like a steamroller. And over the long term, I mean, real estate, I mean, you know what happens. You keep that debt in place and you just inflate it away. I mean, it just doesn't even mean anything anymore. And talking about inflating it away, I mean, you started in an asset class where you can get that 30-year loan. You can actually pay it off. You have a single family. So when you say your properties are cash flowing $500, you're talking about a single family home. And then you went, now this is, I want to tell you, this is the reason why I don't ask people, how'd you get your start in real estate? Because everybody's gonna say, well, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So, but I do want to hear if we can jump to the part in the story where you did go into multifamily. So, what was the impetus?
Yeah. So I loved and still love, and my kids play it all the time. We have five kids now, very blessed to have five amazing kids. We play Monopoly all the time. And I realized if I play Monopoly in real life, I will win at life. And so I just started buying single family home after. So it started in 2006, just kept buying property after property after property. And because I invested not for appreciation, I invest for cash flow. I make money if the market goes up, down, or sideways because no matter what, people need a place to live. This is one of the types of things, it's a need that people need in from food, water, shelter. Shelter's a need. So I started there with single family homes, but just like playing Monopoly, when you get a few properties, eventually you realize, oh my goodness, I can move into a multifamily. So I started moving into
Yeah,
small multifamilies, properties, but then because I'd investing for so long, but here's also another key thing. If as an investor, if you start thinking that it's like solo game, you're going all by yourself, you're missing out on so many great things. And the reason why I say that is because I've coached thousands of students now, and the more people that I help and help them to invest, they help each other and everybody wins. The reason why I say you want to start looking at it as a team sport is because my bread and butter is residential, 4 units and below. I love those. I do those in my sleep. I've coached thousands of people. I've done it myself so many times, but I did not want to learn how to do everything in multifamily. That would take a lot of work. What instead was I put on a conference. It's called the Income Building Live Conference. And I met some amazing people at my conference. They now became really good friends and general partners in deals. So here's what the great thing was, because I started networking with people, because I got out of my shell and said, let's make this a team sport. I met these amazing investors who invested in multifamily. Remember, I'm a residential 4 units and below. I love those as a piece of cake. I just accumulated money so I can. Well, these friends of mine, they did multifamily. They've got thousands of units. And they said, hey, Dustin, we are buying this 350 unit apartment complex just out of Nashville. I said it a little off. It's like $35 million we're buying it for. And we want you to become a general partner, do a little bit of asset management, but we want you to bring your people in and invest with us. I said, I don't know. Like, I've always just done things myself. And, my wife and myself own these properties. But I said, you know what? Because I have my podcast, the Master Passive Income podcast, I've been doing it since 2016, just me, solo show, just giving out all this coaching. People were telling me all the time, Dustin, I want to invest with you. Whenever you have a deal, let me invest with you. And so I said, you know what? Let me at least try. So I put out a couple podcast episodes saying, hey, I'm investing my own money in this deal. If you want to invest with me, you can. Or I raised 1.5 million just from a couple podcast episodes, but altogether we raised 10 million. But that is, so if you bring it all back together, it's all about getting the right people that you can trust to be a part of everything that you're doing. And then if people trust you to invest in your deals that you're doing, then you're going to be able to combine all that together, and it's a perfect win-win for everybody.
Yeah, I gotta love it. And that 4 units and below niche, that's beautiful because I was in the residential mortgage industry. I was a data scientist, but I mean, I was just intimately aware of just how great the debt is on these things. I mean, you could get like an FHA loan, you could put down 3% on 4 units. Now you can't replicate that success, but you can get, 10, 12. It changes from time to time, maybe 15 Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac loans. I mean, you can have just a ton of units buying quads. So I think it's a vastly underlooked approach. Like I started out looking, I mean, I did have a couple single family homes, but then I started to look for 100 units and above. But you know what I found was 14 units, and we were not about to pass it up, and that was huge. So I jumped, I never did the quad, although I kind of regret it. I mean, that was like the next step for me. But I always tell people you got to know what you're looking for. But look, if something drops in your lap, just take it because you really only need one deal in commercial real estate, and it will change your life. It'll change your credibility. You're a new person.
100% agree. And I love the conventional 30-year fix. As over 30 years, it's
Yeah.
eventually paid off. Or what's even better, you do a cash out refinance to buy more real estate. That's a tax-free
Yeah.
loan. And George, you would definitely understand that. It's a tax-free loan, which, the government doesn't tax a loan. So you just buy more real estate that makes you more money. But I think just like playing Monopoly, if you can get that financial security with single family homes, 4 units and below, then you're able to jump into, let's say, 10 units, 14, 15 units. When you get
Yeah.
into the, hundreds of units, your cash flow drops dramatically because you have so many other investors that are a part of the deal. If you can
Yeah.
get a 15, 20 unit apartment complex, more than likely you might have one or two investors. So there's a lot of meat left back on the bone. But now what I love, like you said, the conventional 30-year fixed, it's hard to beat that because in the
Right.
end, lowest interest rates, you're not forced to refinance. And then after 30 years, it's paid off. And I have, with all my 30 plus single family homes, if you could see them, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see my kids in the background.
Yeah.
I got 5 now. I will literally give my single family homes to my kids. And one quick last
Yeah.
thing. So I've coached thousands of people to invest in real estate, residential 4 units and below. I've taught my daughter, who's now 16 years old, she bought her
Mhm.
first rental property in Ohio. She took her life savings, bought it, I think it was like $120,000 home. It's renting for 1350. So I think cash flow is like 350, $400 a month. And I said, if I'm going to help you, this is what you have to guarantee or commit to. You cannot spend any of that cash every single month. You have to save it to then buy
Yeah.
the next property. And she says, okay, if that's what I got to do. And so now she's super pumped. She's making money. And so all of my kids, I'm going to help them all do the same thing.
I love it. Yeah, I think, I should commit to doing the same thing again, totally like an FHA loan. The kids don't really need a whole lot of money to jump into that. Maybe a lawn mowing business or something, first job. You could have a few $1,000s and get that $120,000, just bring that home. Well, I got a couple of curiosities here about you. I just wonder, are you one of those people who just always hated working for other people?
Yes, 100%. It's not that I thought I could do it better. It wasn't anything like that. It was, for me, it was I wanted freedom to do whatever I wanted in my life. I hated going to work. In fact, I got the most stable, secure job you could ever think of, working for a local county government in California doing IT. It was the most stable, secure job, but it was the most boring job you could ever think of. It was
Yeah.
terrible, at least for me. I'm a driven type of person. And I just knew that I had so much more value to give. I had so much more value to put out there. And so as soon as I bought my first property, it was like off to the races. And I said, you know what? This is the direction I'm going now. And imagine this. So if you listening, if you became successfully unemployed, which means you're not working for somebody else, you found another way to provide for yourself and your family outside of working a job, well, then you have 40 plus hours of your life back that you can now do
Yeah.
whatever to travel the world, play with your
Yeah.
or your kids and your family. If you want to pick up a new hobby, whatever it might be, you can do. What I love is doing all the above. And I also start businesses. Now I have 4 businesses that make me money. And it's just, if you play the game like Monopoly or like the rich have it set up, in fact, we have the best tax advantages being a real estate investor because all the laws for taxes are written by wealthy people who own real estate. They wrote it for themselves. So you just utilize that. You're going to be
It's
making
funny
so
how
much
that
money.
works. I love it. Representative government.
Exactly.
All right, so here's one other thing about the personal history. We just got to hit this because I remember being frustrated at one point and thinking, I would just go back to my university. I'd be happy to just shred my degree, just make me an offer. But you went one step beyond that. Okay, let's tell our audience, what did you do with your college degree?
So I realized it was a number of years ago. My kids were, I don't know, let's say 10 years old or give or take. And we were moving stuff and I found my college degree and I looked at it and I quit my job like 10 years prior. I was looking, I was like, oh my goodness, I'm never going to need this ever again. And I've been teaching my kids that there's much better ways to make money than going to college. Now, if you're going to be a lawyer, if you're going to be a
Sure.
doctor, engineer, of course, you have to get that higher education. But if you're going to just, learn just random things to make money, there's so many better ways to do it. So I took my degree and I said, kids, let's have fun with this because I'm teaching you that you don't need this. I'm going to actually show you. So we took it into the desert. We took my college degree. It was a plaque. It was, my parents paid a little extra money for like a plaque. It was in Boston and everything. And I blew it up, or we blew it up. And so I got 2 gallons of gas and 16 pounds of tannerite, it's a high projectile, like a bullet. As soon as it hits that, it explodes. And then that degree, I put it on top. So the tannerite at the bottom, then gasoline, and then the degree on top. I shot it with my son's rifle, a hunting rifle, and it blew up. The fireball was so huge because of the gasoline, and it was so much
Two
fun.
gallons of gasoline would have done it, I'd say.
It was, because I played with tannerite in the past, meaning it's just fun getting out there. It's not dangerous because you have to be far away to hit it with a high velocity projectile. Like you can't just hit it with a hammer; it's not going to explode.
Right.
It has to be very, very fast, like a bullet. Now, I did it once. I just tested it, and it doesn't seem as amazing on film because there's no fireball. It just you see the cloud of dust. And so I said, I
Right.
have to do one more. What do movies do? Well, in movies, you see a big fireball. And I was learning a little bit, not a ton, but just learning like how do they do it? They put gasoline everywhere. That's what makes it a fireball. And I did the exact
Oh,
same thing
wow.
and it was amazing.
Now that is cool because, I have maybe the opposite experience as a sailor. I always get out there. I get on these 4-foot swells, and it's amazing. I can see the white caps, and it's so dramatic. And then I try and take a film of it, and it looks completely two-dimensional. And I can never express to anybody. I can't show them. And maybe I need to go find out, how do they film the Titanic? How do I just express to somebody who's never been out on a sailboat that when you're riding that 4-foot swell, this is living?
I 100% agree. And so we love traveling too. So in the background, I have a couple pictures of us traveling around the world. We went
Well, I know
to
you've been to Japan, but it looks like I see Africa there too.
Yes, Africa. We've been to Ireland. Actually, in 2017, we went to Japan for 6 weeks. It was super awesome. Took my entire family. 2018, we went a 6 week trip again. We went through 11 different countries in Europe. It was amazing going through all that. And one of them was Austria. Austria was absolutely amazing. We got to see the Austrian Alps flying over. And I looked, I was like, oh my goodness, that is the most amazing thing I have ever seen. And then we land and we get into this one of these castles, which is a beautiful castle, and we're looking looking at the Alps. It looks so amazing. I'm like, I got to take a picture of it. I take a picture of it and I look at it. I was like, oh my goodness, this is garbage compared to like the
Yeah.
actual. Like it's so much more impressive. So I'm 100% with you.
So true. Yeah. So you got to get off of YouTube or whatever you're doing out there and just live life. It's amazing. So I think we're still on successfully unemployed. So you quit your job at 37. You got me beat. I quit in my 40s. I think we really did cover what this sort of freedom has meant to your quality of life. Maybe we just dive into the book. So you got 16 lessons. Can you share with our audience one of those key lessons?
A big lesson that I learned, I'll give you two of them in the kind of like bundled together. One is your basically your time off, or let's say you have time off as well as you have sick leave. And this is the reason why I put them together. And so, what do you do with that sick leave? I was asking that question to myself and I was trying to research what I do with like that. Honestly, I had like 3 weeks of leave that I needed to do something with. And I thought, okay, a lot of people are cashing out their leave and they get a big check. Well, what's sad is you get a bit higher tax, like because you're cashing out a big lump sum. But I thought,
Yes.
okay, if I spend, which means if I take time off now, if I take all 3 weeks, I'm not like if I quit my job right now and just cash it out, I don't make any more. But if I use my vacation time right now, I accrue more vacation time while I'm taking
Yeah, while you're
vacation.
gone, right?
Yes, I get health insurance on top of that. I get all the benefits. My pension, remember, as a local county government, my pension grows. And in the end, what 3 weeks, it turned into 4 weeks because of all the time extra that I was still working and taking all that time off. My bosses weren't the most happy, but I was like, what are they going to do? I work for the government. It doesn't matter.
Love it. You got to love it. So yeah, just a great book. I love the way he went through that because I think it does. It really lays things out in a way that people want to hear it. So when you do contemplate just leaving the job, so what do you think are some of the biggest stumbling blocks? That's one of them. Obviously, the issue of what do you do with your time off? But what are some of the biggest stumbling blocks that stop a person from going from that wantrepreneur to the entrepreneur stage?
Yeah, what it comes down to is, and I like the word stabilize. So if you want to learn how to invest in real estate, definitely that's a whole nother ball of wax. But now, let's say you started investing, you bought one, two, three, four properties. And because for me, as I just started scaling, I got to 10, 12, 15 properties. But every single month, it was a fluctuation of high and low of income coming in. There'd be an eviction, or I bought a new property, so I had a rehab, so dollar amount came out. And then I was realizing that I needed to stabilize all of my income from my properties so that I had a stable amount of money coming in. Because if I'm feeding my family and I'm not working at JOB, then I don't have automatic money coming in. So what I needed to do was stabilize my income. And so I didn't quit until after I had a stable income of $10,000 coming in every single month, where, some months it would drop down to like $3,000 because I had so many other repairs or evictions, all that sort of stuff. And so
Right.
stabilizing. Now, if you're an entrepreneur, now this is real estate investing, because I love business. In fact, what I tell everybody, all my students now, is we don't want to be an investor. Like if you're an investor, you think maybe set it and forget it like the stocks. What we need to do is instead become a business owner. We
Mhm.
own real estate. That's our inventory. So we go into business to make money just like every entrepreneur does. So what I help everybody to realize is when you're a real estate investor, you're an entrepreneur. You're a business owner. So this applies to every single business owner. Just like if you had your own business and you realize, man, this is a side hustle that's taken off. It's doing really, really well. It's time for me to quit my job or to become successfully unemployed. Well, you need to make sure my risk tolerance is different than other people. Everybody's different. Some people might say, I'm just going to burn the bridges as I go and I'm done and I'm going to make it. I had a wife that she would not let me just quit my job. So I had to stabilize everything. I had to make sure that I had revenue coming in or income coming in every single month. So being an entrepreneur, if you're going to become successful and employed, in order to do it well, I suggest holding on to your job until you are stabilized in your income to where and also have a good emergency fund to where you can continually not worry about your family if something bad happened. That's what I suggest. But at the same time, there are so many people that they say, Dustin, I've already got half of my income coming in. I'm just going to quit. I'm like, okay, that's what you want to do. You'll make it work. And I have talked to many investors, many entrepreneurs that they make it work. I just had a smaller risk tolerance than other people.
No, I think that's good, but I mean, there's also that survivorship bias. The ones that don't, you don't hear them, they're gone. So I think I like the way you did it. And yeah, that's pretty much how I did it. Although, due to Uncle Jerome, we did have interest rate hikes, serious and early and severe. So they really didn't need as many people in fintech at that point. So I thought, well, I wasn't really ready to do this, but I'm not going to go learn a new job at this point. So never mind. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. And I just want to thank you so much for taking your time to share your knowledge and experience with our audience. All good things must come to an end. Just one final question. I just want to make sure that if our listeners want to become successfully unemployed or want to master passive income, how do they get in touch with Dustin Heiner?
Awesome, George. Hey, would you mind if I gave everybody a real estate investing course completely for free?
Oh, I would love it.
Awesome. Well, my goal is to help 1 million people to invest in real estate. I make my money through real estate. I just want to share this with you. If you text the word rental, RENTAL, rental to 33777, rental to 33777, or you can go to masterpassiveincome.com/free course. All one word, masterpassiveincome.com/free course. I'm going to give you my course, show you how to find anywhere in the country to invest, how to build the business first, how to scale it to become financially independent. So you can also find me on my podcast. Like I said, it's a solo show, just me giving it. It's Master Passive Income. Just search. Actually, if you search real estate investing on Apple, you'll find me. I'm usually #1, which is fantastic. But here's a great thing. You can even find me on Instagram. I've actually had a lot more fun on Instagram, like I shared. And so you can follow me or even just DM me. I love chatting with, say you found me on George's podcast, but the Dustin Heiner, Dustin Heiner, love to help as many people as possible. But George, thank you so much for having me on your awesome podcast, man.
All right. It's been a great pleasure. Thank you so much. Take care.